Good evening and welcome to this week in review. Tonight's stories include Vacation Bible School highlights, the BDDB report, changes at Sandbanks. These stories plus community events, the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack, and more coming up after this.
Participation, finding solutions. Getting active is easy. And Canada's Physical Activity Guide shows just how easy it is. Rosella chooses to go skating with her daughter Letitia. They're having fun, and they're also enjoying the benefits of physical activity.
Physical activity is one of the ways in which we have so much fun together.
Rosella's solution is a participation solution. Try it.
Leaders of the Vacation Bible Experience say that it has been a very successful year. This year the name has changed slightly. It's called the Beach Trek Vacation Bible Experience as opposed to Vacation Bible School, because we all know how children feel about school. The beach trek began on Monday and ran until Friday. As the name suggests, this year it was a beach theme. Every day started with a chant and putting something new on the beach trek banner. The stories, games, crafts, snacks, and songs were based on stories in the Bible that took place at or near a beach. The first day, for example, the story was about Jesus' baptism. The craft was the changing sand bottle. For lunch, the children were served Dove cupcakes, dogs in a blanket, and Jordan River juicer. During music time, the children were singing songs like Beach Trekkin', Bugs for Lunch, which is their favorite, and Come and Meet Jesus.
When Jesus comes, prepare the way, and don't forget your bugs. Let me hear it. 8 bugs for lunch. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 8 bugs for lunch. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 8 bugs for lunch. Yeah, yeah, yeah. John the Baptist, 8 bugs for lunch. Okay, second verse, just like the first. Here we go. Jesus said John the Baptist was great, the greatest man who ever lived. And before John was with us today, to tell us something like this. Okay, say with me. If you're on the rock road, go the other way.
The children were broken up into 2 groups. When one group was at the church listening to a story, the other group was at the parish hall playing games. When we visited, the children were listening to Jesus Calms the Storm story.
Lake Galilee, Jesus taught many people about God. Lake Galilee was a stormy day. When the sun started to go down, Jesus told his followers, as people who followed Jesus around and listened to him, let's go to the other side of the lake. So they climbed into a boat. We all do that. Climbed into a boat. Yeah. I can feel that boat. Now, they sat down. Started to roll. Right. Everybody doing it? No, we're not getting nowhere if you don't roll.
On Wednesday, the leaders and the children went to Sandbanks for an afternoon in the sun. A special church service was planned for Sunday, with the children reading and singing songs they had learned throughout the week. During the service, the banner was presented and will hang at the church. The backdrops for each story were painted by the volunteers. Each story had its own backdrop. The children seemed to enjoy the Vacation Bible Experience very much. We congratulate the Beach Trek volunteers on a job well done. Greg Illiard, our BDDB officer, dropped by our studio on Thursday for an interview. Today in our studio we have with us Greg Illiard, the BDDB officer. Welcome once again, Greg.
Thanks for having me again.
And well, we'll get right to it because we got quite a bit of things to cover. I see you had a meeting about the seniors complex.
Yes, we did. As a lot of people in the community know, the board has been working with a local proponent to try and see if we can develop a 20-unit independent living seniors complex here in the community. And of course, we've made presentations to a number of different agencies, and certainly our proponent has done a fair bit of work in gathering information, and needs assessments were carried on and things of that nature at site locations. And unfortunately, it's gotten to the point that our proponent feels at this point in time that he can't continue on with this initiative for various reasons. However, he still wants to be kind of involved in terms of information and whatnot. So what he's agreed at this point in time, that if somebody within the community or somebody in the region would like to take this initiative on and see if they might be able to move it forward, then certainly he's invited that and welcomed anybody to gather the information or receive the information from our office, and we'll sit down and talk to a new potential proponent, if you want, to see if we might be able to move it in a new direction and eventually implement that initiative, because as you know, we've stated a number of times, there's definitely a need in the community for this type of service. There's no doubt about it, and he's, due to various circumstances, he's basically at this point in time saying, look, I can't assist in moving things forward. So he's allowed us to kind of put it out on the table for anybody who might be interested. So at this point in time, we're certainly welcoming anybody that might be interested in looking at this initiative as a potential opportunity. Then the door is now open to do so.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing to hear that the other person had to let it go. But then again, it could be somebody out there who can pick it up.
Yeah, that's right, and there's been a lot of major work done over the last 18 months, so it'd be a shame, and we ourselves and the proponent talked about this, that with all the information and all the work that's been done on it right now, if we let it go too much longer, then it'll be a situation where we're back to square one on all the information, a lot of things we've done, we'd have to wind up redoing again.
Okay,
things like the needs assessment and the surveys and those kinds of things, because they just eventually, when you're dealing with government and other agencies, they say, well, the information is 2 or 3 years old, is it really relevant anymore?
That's right, okay.
So if we can do while it's still relevant and have a new proponent and possibly even keep our original proponent some way involved in the whole process, and certainly be a bonus all the way around for everybody.
Yeah, okay. You have under your correspondence a letter from Minister of DFO about the allocation.
Yeah, as I guess the local residents might recall, a number of months ago we worked in partnership with the local FFAW as well as Town Council, and we submitted a joint proposal to the Minister for the Department of Fisheries and Oceans requesting he investigate some type of allocation for this community, so of course we can activate the fish plant here again, and obviously the benefits that are derived from that. Unfortunately, when the mayor and other representatives came back from Ottawa about 3 weeks ago, we received an official letter from the minister stating that at this point in time, they were the different species we were looking at, they basically had quotas froze on those, and at this point in time, their plans were in place, and that unfortunately we wouldn't receive any benefits from any types of new quotas, and I just thought I'd let the public know that we're looking at other avenues as well right now. There's other things being discussed. Obviously, we've had discussions with the FFAW. We're trying to hold some meetings with Mr. Barry and his representatives and different initiatives in regards to the plant. So it's not a dead issue by any means. It's just that at this point in time for this year, that avenue is not available to us.
A very frustrating issue.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I've only been here for a 2-year period or so, and there's been people trying to deal with this issue for the last 8 or 10 years, or probably even longer in some ways, and I can understand their frustration, and it can be very, I guess at times intimidating, especially I heard one person say, when you walk into a place like Ottawa, you're just like a dot on a book on a page type of thing, and sometimes you're just like a number. And, you wait your turn, and hopefully at the end of the day, maybe something will come through. But the only thing that can happen, you got people like the mayor of this community and others who certainly haven't given up on it, and they keep pushing it forward. And these people need to be given certain credit for trying to move that. And at the end of the day, hopefully, the fruits of the labor will come out. It's just sometimes a very frustrating. It's like doing economic development itself. Sometimes you wonder why things are so slow, and half the time I think people want, or the government wants you, or whoever wants you to prove to them that you're really serious about what you want to do first. and then you go from there. But I don't know how serious you can get in a community like this
No.
when you're trying
Oh,
to move things forward in that regard. But
if it wasn't serious, I think you could laugh at it.
at
The
times,
process, like how it goes, because they slam your door in your face on this issue, and then they turn around and this little door or this little window opens a bit, and you get a peek in and say, oh, well, maybe this is a possibility, and then all of a sudden you get your fingers on the windowsill and they slam down the window, like, oh my God, like, how much more do you expect the people to take,
that's right. And
Yeah.
provincially, I mean, the provincial government, I mean, and everybody should realize their hands are tied. I mean, our
Yes.
MHA fully supports trying to get an allocation. The provincial minister of fisheries and aquaculture
Yes.
supports it wholeheartedly. I've had my discussions with him as well as other people. I've discussed this matter with him. So provincially, I mean, they're all behind it. And like, we were saying one day, I mean, it boils down to is that the minister for Department of Fisheries and Oceans is the man at the end of the day
Yeah.
that can either do this or can't, or maybe Minister Tobin, and at the end of the day, maybe the Prime Minister. But I mean, getting close enough to these people to get anything, just getting a meeting with the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans nationally, I mean, is a work of art in itself.
Yes.
And Bill Matthews certainly, needs to take credit just
Yeah.
for having the ability to get the mayor and other representatives up there to meet with him.
And I understand, like, at a meeting like this, you got a lot of time to get in and state your case, and somebody's there saying, oh, time's up.
Yeah, and that's what happens. I mean, if you can picture, nationally, I mean, I know it was like meeting with a number of provincial ministers. I mean, you've got your 1 hour block of time, let's say,
Yeah.
and boy, you finish doing your business, and sorry, you're out, and then there's somebody else coming in the door behind
Somebody coming in. So it makes you wonder how effective those meetings are. Like for example, if you had an hour meeting with so many different groups, it's mind-boggling, isn't it? How can you keep this? Here are we're desperate, and probably after us there's farmers coming in behind them, and they're desperate.
Yeah.
You see, it's just.
That's right. There's no doubt
Overwhelming.
about it. I mean, he's got to rely on his senior officials to try and do a lot of the work for him. And I guess at the end of the day, it's almost like a balancing act sometimes.
Yeah.
It's certainly not an easy position for anybody when you're dealing with the fishery in this country. Let's face it. I mean, you have, if people have been listening to the news, I mean, you have issues out in BC between the United States and Canada. I mean, majorly
right.
with the salmon and other things. So we're not just the only ones.
That's right.
Sometimes we tend to forget that. Well, it's Burgeo. We've been tied to the fishery, for centuries, and we have our rights. But when you think about it realistically, at times there's a lot of other communities out there just in the same boat. So you can imagine how Minister Dhaliwal having to deal with all these people and then all these other issues related to the fishery.
Yeah, exactly.
And people mentioned me one day. Well, he's only got the Atlantic and Pacific fishery, and in reality, no, he doesn't. He's responsible for all the inshore fishery in regions of this country, including the Northwest Territories, Alaska, or the Yukon, and Inuit. I can't remember the name of the other territory now, but I mean, it's still part of his territory.
Yeah.
So he has a huge responsibility, and I sympathize with the man, but and sometimes it gets frustrating too when you're in there and you say, realistically, this man can sign off on it and do it for you. And you had your opportunity to meet with the man, and obviously down the road, the senior officials involved with him have recommended that this is the way it's got to be at this point in time. So you have to accept it and try to look at other ways and means to do it. And I know the mayor is certainly, well enough that he's certainly already, investigating other avenues and opportunities. So, and as long as you can keep it in that light, that when one door closes, and let's see what other door or other options might be open. And we've got to try something.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
keep moving anyway.
And our greenhouse development.
Yeah, as recently as this week, we had representatives from ACOA in. They viewed the existing greenhouse operation. Very impressed with the work our proponents have been doing there, and certainly as of today, I'm pleased to say that the company has grown an average of 15 pounds a plant, which is substantial. And they've only been harvesting for the last 10 weeks. We've got another, I guess 3.5 months to go or so in harvesting. And their product is in major demand in stores in Stephenville and Corner Brook. As a matter of fact, we can't get, with the amount of product they have right now, the furthest we can ship is Corner Brook at this point in time. And of course, we're supplying the local market, and we've got to say, and our proponents have said it, that the support that's been received from the Burgeo residents and that in terms of tomatoes and their product has been tremendous. And of course, we've gotten good feedback. it's a good quality product.
It is.
People are telling us.
It
So
definitely is, yeah.
when you've got that quality product, then certainly it becomes easier to sell it. And you know, they've had very little wastage in terms of rejected tomatoes, because like every other product, I mean, you're not going to get 100% perfect. It's just the nature of the business you're in. But certainly the people from ACOA, as well as Agri-Foods and others, have been very impressed. We feel that by later on this week, if not early next week, we're going to finally get the official word to move into the pre-commercial. And the first step, of course, is to order the greenhouse, and then after that we'll finish off our initial plans, and within hopefully the next 2 to 3 weeks at the latest, we'll actually have a crew hired of approximately 10 people for a 14-week period to begin the process of constructing that pre-commercial operation, which is a 5-bay facility.
Yeah.
So we're really pleased, you know, the way things are going, and of course everything will be geared up now. That come January of 2002, they'll actually start in the process of putting plants in the new facility, and of course the existing facility will be moved over to the new site, which is located on the old Fox Farm area.
Okay.
So we're really very positive what's happening there, and really overall the synopsis looks more than promising for this initiative. And you know, at the end of the day, if we can get, you know, 4 or 5 full-time year-round jobs, because there will be year-round jobs there, and I mean, you know, 10 to 12 or even 15 seasonal jobs in this community will be something substantial.
Fantastic, exactly.
And I always tell people there's spin-offs involved with that as well. That there's going to be spin-off jobs created, and one beauty about this is, you know, we're bringing all new money in this community with this business.
That's right.
I mean, this is a new industry here.
New industry, yeah.
It's all new money coming down.
It's amazing.
And,
yeah.
and it's just going to circulate and be more
Yeah.
positive for everybody. So.
It still just blows me away that we're growing tomatoes in Virgil. Like, for some reason, it's just like, almost like somebody waved a magic wand. It's fantastic, yeah.
Well, you know, our proponents had to be given credit.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
tremendously. I mean, you know, they started up again in January. They took roughly a 2-week break over Christmas, and there's been somebody in that house every day, 7 days a week, since they've started
Yeah.
in. So I mean, you know, that's dedication above and beyond, and there's no doubt about it. They're receiving some, albeit minimum, remuneration for what
Yeah.
they're doing. And yes, at the end of the day, it's going to be their business. But let's face it, when you stick that out a couple of years, and they know what they're facing too, and
Yeah.
it's going to be the same year in,
Yeah.
year out. I mean, they're not going to be able to turn around and say, we'll take a break this week and
That's
we'll all
right.
shut her down in July and go on.
Yeah, no, it doesn't
That's not
happen.
going to happen.
No.
And they know it's not going to happen, and
Yeah.
they're committed to it. And I think they're probably still excited now
I think
as they
so.
were when
Yeah.
the first day they started.
I know that when I go in there, you can feel the excitement in the air, and for anybody who hasn't been in there, if in that time at all, just to go in there and see it, I promise you won't be disappointed, because
No.
it just amazes me when you goes in there. I mean, those plants now are just about they were when I went in there last, at the top, and they were lowering them down. It's just phenomenal. Like,
Just even the technique of what they're doing.
Yes.
I mean, in reality, they measured one of the plants up the other day. They're actually about 14 feet high right now,
Yeah.
but because of the process they use, they're actually lowering.
they're lowering them down.
And
Yeah.
I mean, just for people to look at that aspect, I mean, we had people from Agri-Foods that it took them about 3 months to comprehend, like, plants are going to keep on growing. There's a seedling here. How is it ever going to stop? Well, this is a technique we use all the time. We
Yeah.
pick from the bottom, and while more fruits are coming up, we slowly
Lower.
lower the plants, and
Yeah.
it continues to grow. And
Not only that, is those plants got not, a tomato here or there or somewhere else. I mean, there's bunches of them. There's huge bunches of them.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
it's an industry and a technique and a technology all its own, you know.
It is,
And
yeah.
and the guys have certainly, like they told me, they've learned a lot in the last year and a half, and that's shown. And as a matter of fact, the gentleman from Agri-Foods was in last week to do his monthly inspection, and he said, boys, you've got a Class A crop here.
Yeah.
And he couldn't dispute it one way or the other what was there. So I mean, and of course economically, as the BDDB, if we felt that this thing wasn't going to be economically viable at the end of the day, certainly we wouldn't be moving forward, and neither
That's
would our
right.
proponents. I mean, they told me more than once, look, if it doesn't look like we're going to make a living at this, then we might as well either get involved in something else or try and move away.
Yeah.
And right now they're sticking with it, and we're really excited about what's going to happen with the company in the next year or two. And
Yeah.
we've got some major plans. to
Oh,
move
it's
along, so-
fantastic. Yeah. Wish them all the luck. Now, on to another new project is the ICT incentive. That's our BBS project.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I guess people are aware now that all the cables have been replaced, and of course the upgrading has been done on the BBS. That was one of the phases that were initiated or identified in the whole ICT initiative, and of course a number of new channels added, and certainly I know from my perspective there's been a major improvement in terms of the signals we receive and that kind of stuff. But the staff have been certainly moving forward. Other aspects of the initiative, of course, include the connectivity between the 5 communities and working with such organizations as the Calder Healthcare and the Western Healthcare Corporation, School District 4, and others to implement a number of things related to interconnectivity. And of course, you know, we are looking at other things down the road in relationship to this, but obviously people have probably noticed here locally there's a new tower on the skyline, and of course that's part of the whole interconnectivity that we need to put in place. As far as the communities go, we're hoping that that's only one of the few that we'll have to construct. It'll be the only one certainly in Burgeo. We're working out a partnership now with Newtel where we're hoping to be able to co-locate some of our equipment on their existing towers, and if that can be worked out, then certainly it'd be beneficial for all parties, including Newtel and us at the same time. In terms of course, the working with the school district, as a number of people are aware, we're trying to put a new studio and other amenities in the corner of the new school facility, and it looks like at this point in time we're about 90% done with negotiations with the school district and of course in turn the Department of Education, because you know, part of the tendering process and the construction of that new facility obviously ties in with the school. So we're really pleased how things are going in that area. We had a few wrinkles along the way, but that's normal when you're dealing with people and trying to develop partnerships and making sure everything is taken care of. So it's been very positive in that end of it. I guess one thing that's happened to us that kind of made us have some adjustments lately is that Dr. Barter, as you're probably aware, has taken a new position with the school district, and of course she was up until that time the chairperson of the ICT initiative, and due to what she felt could be some major conflicts of interest, especially with the school district being a major partner with the ICT initiative, and some other things, she felt that she didn't want to put herself in that position, and actually has now resigned as the chairperson for the ICT. However, I'm pleased to say that she's staying on as a representative of the school district and actually will be attending our regular meetings monthly, and I think that'll actually help improve and open up more communications with the school district. And not that we get, you know, we've got a good relationship now, but it's not as close as having somebody around the table every month.
Certainly.
So certainly on behalf of the committee, I'd like to thank Dr. Brader for her efforts, because she's been there from day one, from the inception of the concept to the development of the proposal, to doing presentations to different ministers and really assisting to help move this thing forward. And you know, without somebody like her, I know my job would have been a little bit more difficult, no doubt about it. And you know, her assistance has been invaluable throughout this whole process, and I'm really glad that she's staying on at this point. So the committee is still, by all intents and purposes, intact, and you know, I think by keeping her is going to be a major asset to us. But we're really pleased how things are happening. Again, ECO was down this week. They've done an evaluation of the works that's been completed since the staff started roughly in mid-February this year, and very pleased with how things have progressed and where we're to at this stage of the game. And we're really hoping that by September we'll actually have Ramy and Burgeo interconnected, and we'll see some major benefits within the school system and healthcare and other aspects as we move along with this whole process.
And there's quite a few incentives they have working on, not only with the healthcare and the school, but there's other things in the works as well, isn't there, for the BBS?
Yeah, that's right. And I think one of the keys is going to be the development of our partnership with Newtel, to be able to possibly expand and get involved in other things. And of course, like you say, there's we talk about the school district, but in regards to the BBS and the benefits and its partnership going to be with the local all-grade school here once it's built, and working with the educational institution, that I think it's going to be a win-win for everybody within the community at the end of the day. And I mean, you know, the BBS has always relied on volunteers to assist and help out in terms of the organization, and I think now having such close proximity and right into the school, I think it'll draw more youth to it, and then more opportunities in terms of, you know, the communications aspect and the media.
Definitely.
It'll certainly be a plus for everybody.
Anyway, that's another very positive note, and on to another positive note, or I hope it's still positive, and that's the sea urchin development.
Yeah, we've had some struggles and some uphill battles with that one, as you're well aware. I think I mentioned that the last time I was here, that we managed to secure the sea urchin portion of Mr. Barry's license at Sea Freeze, and certainly that was a very major plus. And of course, the next step after that was trying to secure a facility. And people might have heard me say a number of times that the government shed was leased to IFD for a substantial period of time. And during the board's evaluation, and when IFD basically, I won't say folded because they're still in existence, but when that whole soft shell clam initiative kind of fell off the table, and things couldn't be worked out, then the board felt that if the company wasn't going to develop a primary processing operation with soft shell clams in that facility, then really they shouldn't have the opportunity to hold on to that facility for any extended period of time. And if we had various initiatives we might be able to utilize that facility for, then it should be, the opportunity should be there for somebody else to lease it. So we've I won't say worked diligently, but we've held discussions with IFD. There's no doubt about it. We've talked to them about the shed, and there's no secret that we've made it be known that if the shed's not being utilized, then we'd like it to come back within the community. And so for the last 18 months, we've let government officials know, and others within the community. Town council has been behind us, in trying to acquire the facility back again. Have written letters of support and whatnot, and it's been a struggle, and it's tied up. But we are hopeful that things can be worked out between IFD and the government that could see that facility come back to the community. And I do mean the community, because at the end of the day, I've had my discussions with the mayor and others that if the opportunity arises where things can be worked out with government and IFD and the facilities available, then it should come to the community, and anybody that would like to use it, it should be leased to them.
Sure.
And if they're not going to use it, then it should be reverted back to the community. At least you got a facility that somebody has the opportunity then to maybe move something forward.
That's right.
As you're well aware, and a number of things, a number of different issues we've had, is one of your major stumbling blocks has always been a facility to do something in.
Yes.
And by having that facility down there now, potentially available to do some things, like the sea urchin development,
Yes.
then it makes life a lot easier for everybody, because I think I've mentioned a number of times before, government has now got out of building buildings for people.
Yes.
Yeah. We've seen too many white elephants over the years,
Sure.
and in some ways I agree with them. However, a place like Burjo suffers because we don't have a lot of infrastructure here.
That's right.
At this point in time. But getting that back would be a very positive step, and hopefully at the end of the day, between the Department of Work Services and IFD, things can be worked out, and that we might be able to see that facility come back and then move that sea urchin initiative forward.
So it's still an initiative on your table?
Oh,
it's not a dead issue.
Major one.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, within the next few days, we're bringing down our industry partners, and we're going to be doing some in-services with harvesters and divers in preparation for the season beginning October 1. Our goal is, and I've had discussions with HRDC, ACOA, and other agencies, is that we would like to see that facility up and running and employing people by October 1 when the sea urchin season opens. And that's still our goal at the end of the day. If other things distract us from that or prohibit us from doing it, then I guess we'll just have to look at our options. But we feel right now, even though it is, roughly the middle of August, that the work that could be required in a facility and the equipment required could all be in place within the 30 to 45 day period. And we do, we have some very positive vibes from some of the funding agencies that feel that this could be viable. And at the end of the day, we know the resources out there.
Yes.
And that's the thing that frustrates me, and it did last winter when we started with our proponents. We did shift some major amounts of resource up, albeit, it wasn't as big as what hopefully we're going to get into here, but it still meant employment for people that could do that work in this community.
Yeah.
And we've seen enough resource, I think, go up out of here.
I think so.
It's time to do something.
Plenty of it, yeah. Time to stop it now, too.
Yeah, and it could
for us
mean
to
at the
do
end of the day, it could mean upwards of, from the harvesters and divers to the processing facility. We could be talking about upwards of 50 seasonal jobs there.
Yeah.
And to
That'd
me,
be
that's
amazing.
tremendous.
Oh,
And,
definitely.
yeah,
definitely. It's certainly a positive development then.
Yeah.
Anyway, good luck. Keep pushing.
And just on that note, I mean, the sea urchin development is a seasonal operation, as you know. And
Yes,
there's at
yep.
both ends of it, there's things to be doing. But we are looking at a number of other uses for that facility as well during the other parts of the season, which will
Downtime,
make it a year-round operation. And I think once we've kind of set our whole game plan in place, I think people in this community and within the region will be very pleased with some of the things that we're trying to accomplish down there.
Good. Bridging the Gap program.
Yeah, I mentioned, I guess, probably about 3 or 4 months ago,
Yes.
that we were looking at being involved in a partnership with a number of different other zones in what they call a Bridging the Gap program, which basically is a combination of providing individuals with an education experience as well as employment at the same time.
Yeah.
It looks very positive now that initiative could very well be moving forward. We've identified Coastal Growers here locally as our business partner, and that's mainly due to the fact that Coastal Growers, obviously with the development of their new facility, is going to be looking for employees, and they're also going to be looking for employees with certain educations and
Certainly,
skills.
yes.
And obviously, when you're talking about greenhouse development, there's not a lot of people around in Newfoundland that have any types of those skills. So what we're going to try and do, or what we're looking at doing, is actually providing the company with people employed, and at the same time, these people will actually receive educational greenhouse operations and development.
Okay, yeah.
And then at the end of the day, and we're talking about from a recognized institution, we have Kona as one of our partners,
Okay.
who will provide the proper curriculum based on the company and that. And these people will actually, at the end of the day, if they decide to, let's say, move on, they don't like, working at Coastal Growers, the greenhouse or something, at least they'll have experiences in the agricultural field that might lead them to employment in some other area. And plus, they'll get the benefit of being educated at the same time as they're being employed.
Okay, yeah.
So it's certainly a program we're very excited about. Coastal
Yeah.
Growers are excited about, and I think at the end of the day, we're looking roughly right now at between 10 and 15 participants. And our goal is as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at the greenhouse, beginning operation again in January, that we would have this program ready to roll, so those
yeah.
people would actually walk in right from day one.
Okay.
And they not only get the curriculum, if you want, and the theory behind things, but they'll actually wind up getting the practical behind it.
Practical beyond it, yeah.
And that's invaluable sometimes. So we're very
So
excited.
is this this will be a pilot project?
The pilot was originally done by the Random
Okay,
North Development
all right,
Association. They worked with one company and did this pilot, and what they've said now is let's move it into phase 2 and see if
Okay.
we can identify a number of other zones. So we were asked and approached to become involved, and of course I did a quick evaluation and jumped at it right away and said
Naturally,
yes, let's see if we can do something here,
Yeah.
especially with Coastal Growers. So there's 4 other zones right now involved in moving it into the second phase, and actually if it works out in this phase with the 5 zones, I think you'll see this become an actual provincial program within all 20 zones possibly.
Good,
At the
good.
end of the day.
It certainly sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it's really good because as you're well aware, I mean, a lot of people when they look at it and say, gee, I'd like to go back and get some type of education. However, I really can't afford to. I've got to work. I've got to make a living,
Sure,
and this kind of
that's
stuff.
right.
And this type of program really combines those 2 aspects very
Right
well, where
together.
people get theory, they get the practical experience, which is something that they can put on a resume, and they'll have transferable skills at the end of the day if they
That's
decide
right.
that they want to do something else. So,
Exactly.
so it's certainly a win-win situation. And of course, the third one is the company gets the benefit of actually having employees to assist them in the development and expansion of their business. So it's a win-win situation
Oh,
for
definitely.
everybody.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So we're really excited about it and looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll have that initiative implemented and started by the early part of January next year.
Good. Anyway, and you also got short-term projects.
Yeah, we've over the course of the last couple of months, we've been working with a number of different agencies and organizations locally. We've identified about 5 to 6 short-term projects. We've submitted 3 locally at this point in time. Right now, as we speak, the Sandbanks Provincial Park project
Yes.
has been approved, and we are advertising for those positions in that facility. And of course, that's done jointly in partnership with the Provincial Parks Branch, who are supplying a lot of the materials and supervision and things of that nature. We've also applied for 2 others, and we hear that the second one we've applied for has been approved as well. I won't mention that yet because I haven't got the official documents. And of course, we have a couple of other ones that by the end of this month we'll actually have in to HRDC
Okay.
for funding. So Come September, I'm really hoping that we'll have possibly 4 short-term initiatives working in this community, and of course the 5th one would actually be the greenhouse implementation development. So there'll be a number of short-term projects. The unfortunate thing, and I've heard some comments, and it's very true, you know, by here we go again, we've got, you know, EI top-ups.
Yeah.
And I've really got to tell people in the community, we're frustrated with it, but at the end of the day, if we're trying to move some of these short-term initiatives forward to enhance the community and various opportunities, that's the only program right now that's available to it.
Yeah.
And if we don't take that program, then you know, we might as well not apply for any projects at all.
Yeah.
And I've had discussions with you know, representatives of the provincial government. I've had discussions with representatives of various agencies in the federal system, and everybody seems to be frustrated. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is that actually people are the only ones that can actually change the process.
Yeah.
You look at the programs that are being offered right now, very few are you know, EI insurable earnings.
Yeah.
And you know, like I say, with us, we have to take what's available to us and what's accessible to us. And the only way I'll say is that people have to change it. So if they're frustrated with the system and the way it is, then it might be worth their while to phone HRDC, you know, regionally, and then phone the MP, and because it is a, you know, federal government program.
That's right. Yeah.
And say, look, you know, it's about time that this program and these programs were reviewed, and it's just not suitable anymore, because, you know, there's going to be a point in time where people are just not eligible for these programs anymore.
That's right.
The eligibility is going to run out.
That's right.
And all of a sudden that program is not going to be any benefit to you at all.
At all, yeah.
And we know what the program was originally there for. It was originally there for to give people that had certain skills the ability to maintain those skills while they were out to work for it.
That's right.
For a short period of time.
That's right.
Well, we've kind of switched it around a little bit. Now, there's no doubt about it. People maintain skills and learn new skills.
Sure.
And that's great. There's nothing wrong with it. But we're using them for short-term initiatives.
That's right.
To enhance communities and that, which in reality, in some ways, was not really the overall intent. So we've got to be grateful on one hand that
They're there.
the federal government has those programs still
Yeah.
there to enable us to do those things, because if we didn't, then you can imagine some of the things in the communities that would not benefit
Would
from
not
this, you know?
happen. That's right.
And since I've been here, and certainly before my time, you know, there's been some major enhancements happen in the community.
Very much so, yeah.
So, you know, there is pluses on that side of it, but
Yeah.
I just want the public to know that if there was any opportunity for the BDDB to move the projects in another direction, to make them insurable, or, you know, some other avenue we could use, and certainly we would look at them. But at this point in time, you know, our hands are tied to the types of programs and things that are available to us. And the other thing I tell people at the end of the day is that, you know, if we don't avail of these programs, then there's going to
That's
be
right.
other communities and other things out there that will avail of them.
Yeah.
So if the funding's there to do these types
Go
of
for it.
things, then we might as well try and take it, especially if it's going to benefit the community. I
Certainly,
don't mean just
certainly.
applying
Just,
for a
yeah.
project to say you got 10 people
Yeah.
going around
Moving
town.
rocks from one spot to the other.
Yeah,
But,
and you know, but I mean, if you've got initiatives, then that's a good way of trying to get it done. Then we might as well take advantage, because there's communities out
Oh,
there
yeah.
that are doing it all the time. They
And
don't.
if we take a look around our community too, like those projects that you're just talking about, you can definitely see where they came in, because there's so much now that Imburgia we got now that we didn't have before because of those projects.
That's right. And
Yeah.
it's, you know, right now it's the ideal way to do it for those short-term
Yes,
projects, albeit, you
Yeah.
know, the way the program is in terms of, you know, JCP and that.
Yeah.
And the other thing in terms of the short-term projects, since we're you know, getting into them a little bit more again now, is obviously for the general public to know that we will be following the same hiring practices and policies that we have in the past. And you know, we'll be looking at the foreperson will be the most qualified person
That's
we
right.
can find, irrespective of whatever,
Yes,
as long as they
yeah.
meet the criteria. And of course, the other people will be based on the eligible hours required, you know, to get the work done. And really, that's basically how our policy works. So certainly, we'll follow that. as we
I'm
go along.
assuming you got quite a number of people who qualify for this.
I would not be quite honest with you. It was posted,
Only yesterday,
you know,
I believe.
yesterday, and there has been a few people in inquiring about it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'd say, you know, there's a few eligible people around that.
Yeah.
That certainly
Yeah.
we should be able to get the project completed.
Anyway, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's it for now.
Okay.
I think we've, you know, the board's still meeting on a regular basis, even though we're in midsummer, and certainly we're trying to move things forward. Sometimes it's a bit
little
difficult
bit
when you're,
difficult.
you know,
Yeah.
people on holidays and those types of things. But you know, we still try to move forward and work with our various different partners to try and hopefully at the end of the day create some sustainable employment and development in the community.
Well, it's always good to have you here, because we really enjoy your conversations and puts us in light about what's going on in the community.
Well,
So thanks very much for joining us.
it's great to be here, and thank you.
Okay. Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
Participation. Finding solutions. Getting active is easy. Canada's Physical Activity Guide shows just how easy it is. Larry chooses to play volleyball with neighbors. They're having fun. They're also enjoying the benefits of physical activity.
Well, it's just unbelievable fun. I hope you have a great time.
Larry's solution is a participation solution. Try it.
While walking at Sandbanks one evening this week, we noticed some changes at Greasy Brook. It seems that sometime during this spring, Greasy Brook changed from a brook to Greasy Pond. This is a perfect example of the force of Mother Nature. The part of the beach that extended near this eel is completely gone. Where we once walked is now a beach itself. As you can see, this beach prevents the water from running back into the salt water just over the rise. It is truly amazing how a place can change in only a short while. Of course, with changes come some advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage was that the Sand and Sea Committee had to cancel their bobber race, but now the area provides one of the best swimming areas in Sandbanks Park. We're only left to wonder what other changes does nature have in store for us this year. Stay with us for Off the Rack, the community events, and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
Participation. Finding solutions. Rosella's challenge, finding time for her daughter Letitia.
As a single parent, I think one of the toughest things is whether or not the relationship that you have with your child is as concrete or as solid as you think that it is. Physical activity is one of the ways in which we have so much fun together.
Rosella got some great ideas from Canada's Physical Activity Guide.
What it says to me is get up off your duff and go for a walk. People get to see how should I block in physical activity in my life. When we're out playing, we're interacting and laughing and having a great time. I think it cements the relationship.
The guide will help you make wise choices about physical activity. For your free copy of Canada's Physical Activity Guide, call 1-888-334-9769. Participation says, try it.
Off the Rack. This week as we scanned our tape rack, we came across a tape of some scenes of Grey River. Let's look back to August 1992.
Tonight I sit and look across the harbor and watch the moonlight and the waves roll by. I'm alone 'cause there's no one to love me. I'm so lonesome since my mother said goodbye. There may come a time when someone else will love me. There may come a time when I will wonder why. But tonight I'm sad 'cause there's no one to love me. I'm so lonesome but when I wake, sure I don't want another. I'm so lonesome since my mother said goodbye.
And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night and God bless.